Okay, this is going to be our last lesson for MAFS 5 and F12, where we're solving for word problems, including mixed numbers, using addition and subtraction of fractions. Okay, our lesson objectives. This time you're going to create and solve word problems by using visual fraction models or equations to represent the problem. Use benchmark fractions, the number sense fraction to estimate mentally and assess reasonableness of answers. Now today, I'm going to just give you an example of what we did a couple days ago so you make sure you remember what's required to you by the rubric so everybody can score up on the high end, okay? Now, the essential question, how can I solve for word problems by using visual fraction models and equations to represent the problem? Okay, so let me go ahead and run through the example so that tomorrow when you're doing your work with your partner, you'll be able to get maximum points on the rubric, okay? So the problem I have said Mr. Nice Guy mixed up 12 3/5 gallons of chili for a party. If 7 3/4 gallons of chili was mild and the rest was extra spicy, how much extra spicy did Mr. Nice Guy make? Well, I can see up top, the very top of my rubric says data, and it's on top because we should be able to go through and find all our relevant data we need to solve the problem first. So let's go through the problem again. Mr. Nice Guy mixed up 12 and 3/5 gallons of chili. So that's my total right there. Now, if 7 3/4 gallons of the chili was mild and the rest was extra spicy, and I want to underline my question, how much extra spicy did he make? All right. Now, if I come down to my rubric, let's grade it. No data identified. Okay, data was identified. Some relevant data identified. Well, I'm seeing pretty much everything that I need to solve this problem was identified. So I think we go to the next block. Enough relevant data identified to solve the problem. Well, there's enough, but I think I actually have everything that I need. So since everything I have should be the information I need to solve the problem, I believe I would be at the excellent part of this rubric. Okay. All right. So let's go down to the next part where it says model. Now I've got a tape diagram here. And the first part said 12 and 3/5 gallons of chili. So that's going to be my total on top. And I'm going to put 12 and 3/5 gallons. Now it said 7 and 3/4 gallons. Were mild. And I'm looking, this is what was left, and that's supposed to be extra spicy. Okay, so let's go down and grade ourselves on the rubric at this point. So if I were to grade it as is, it says no model used. Ah, I do have a model. Come to the next one. Model used, but does not represent a problem. 12 and 5 gallons total. Okay, and 7 3/4 gallons, mild, some left with extra spicy. So I'd say, yeah, it does represent a problem. Model represents a problem, but missing some information. What information could I be missing? Oh, now maybe some of my labeling could be better. Now, most people could possibly go ahead and mark this as satisfactory, or they could mark it as excellent. But for me, I like having as much information as possible. So I'm going to go back up to my tape diagram. This is 12 and 3/5 gallons of chili total. This was mild chili. This was extra spicy chili. And you know what? I'm also going to come up here and I'm going to get rid of this question mark, and I'm going to put E as a variable. And E is extra spicy. Okay. So now when I look at this tape diagram, I can see there was a total on top was 12 and 3/5 gallons of chili. 7 3/4 gallons was mild, and I have a variable for an unknown amount, which was left, the extra spicy chili. Oh, now to me, there's no doubt that this belongs in the excellent category. And that's what we want to do. We always want to be in the excellent part of our rubric. All right. Now let's go to the next part of our problem, the math. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a section just for math. So I know where I did my work. And I can see that if I have 12 and 3/5 gallons, and if I subtract 7 3/4 from it, that should give me E, which is my extra spicy. And I don't have to write that out because I know E represents the extra spicy. So since I like subtracting from the whole, I'm going to take 12 minus 7 3/4. And then I'm going to add my 3/5 back in. Now when I look at this, I like to work it backwards. And I go, okay, 7 3/4. If I added 1/4, that would get me to a whole, which would be 8. Then I need 4 more to get to 12. So with that, I know 12 minus 7 3/4 is 4 1/4. But now I've got to add 3/5 back in. So with that, I know if I can see that I cannot turn one into the other. And if I skip counted, I would see that 20 was my common denominator. So I'm going to turn each one of them to 20. So there's 1/4 times 5/5, which gives me 5/20. Then I have 3/5 times 4/4, which gives me 12/20. Now I have 5/20, plus 12/20, which equals 4 17/20. Okay, so there's our answer, 4 17/20. Now, if I go to my rubric and I start coming across, it says work unorganized and incorrect. Well, it looks pretty organized. I don't know if it's correct yet or not. Maybe I need to come over here and do a check first. Okay. Well, I subtracted to get 14 17/20. So maybe if I add, so I'm going to take 4 17/20, and I'm going to add that to 7 3/4, and I should get 12 3/5. Now I can add my two whole numbers together. Now I got 11 17/20 plus 3/4. Now I could multiply 20 times 4 to get 80 as a common denominator. But first thing I like to look at is, can I just turn one of the fractions into the other one? Because all we want is common denominators. And I know I can put 4 into 20ths. So I'm going to go 3/4 times 5/5, which equals 15/20. So now I have 11 17/20 plus 15/20, which is going to give me 11. And when I add them together, it's going to be 32/20. Well, I know 32/20 is equal to 20/20 plus 12/20, which equals 1 12/20. Now I have to go back, so I got 11 plus 1 12/20, which equals 12 12/20. Well, I'm not exactly at 3/5 yet. So I know 12 12/20. I can see that if I decoded this, if I use 4s, because that's a large one, I can go 4 times 3 equals 12, and 4 times 5 equals 20. and I take out my commons, and now I can see I have 12 3/5. Okay, so it checked. I got the same answer that I started with, the 12 3/5. So now let's come back to my rubric. Remember, I want to get the maximum, so it says work unorganized. Let's go with the check first. No strategy used to check work. Well, we just did a check. Same strategy used to solve and check the work used. Well, no, we subtracted in order to get the answer, and we added in order to check it. So we go to the next one. Different strategy used to verify answer. Yes, we did. The third one, answer was verified with reasonableness and action. Oh, so right now I would be right here. Let's see if we can do a quick reasonableness to make sure that bring it over and see if it makes sense. Okay, let's go back to our original problem. We're going to extend our check over to here, and this time we're going 7 3/4, and that's about 8, and 12 3/5, that's about 13. So if I take 13 minus 5, 13 minus 8, that's an 8. Our answer should be about 5. And it really should be a little less than 5 because we rounded both of them up. So we can see for reasonableness right now, reasonable, it checks also. So now I can come back down to my rubric. And now instead of being satisfactory, I just move that over to the excellent area. And now I can come back to my math. It says work, organize, and correct. Well, I can now say that I believe my work is orderly, organized, and correct. Now, last one. Oh, I haven't written an answer yet, so I have to write it as an answer. I know it's 4 17/20. Now, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to have to do it kind of small down below here. And I'm just going to take it. It says, how much extra spicy chili did Mr. Nice Guy make? And I'm going to turn that into a sentence. Mr. Nice Guy made 4 17/20 gallons of extra spicy chili. I had to sit there and cut down on the extra spicy because I was running out of room for being a slide. So now when I come over to my rubric, I'm going to grade myself as answer stated. Keep getting the wrong one. I want a highlighter. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be creating our own word problem, and you will sit there and have to go through and solve it. And I really expect you to use the rubric, and I would like to see everyone have excellent across the board. See you tomorrow.